Welcome back to Pimp My Setup. Today we're taking a look at some setups with LED lights. So if you're interested in that, then sit back, relax, and interact because the show starts now. Hello everybody, my name is Matt Philly and this is episode number 11 of Pimp My Setup. Be sure to hit that like button as it really does help. And if you want to submit your setup, then head on over to pimpmysetup.com. First setup of the day is submitted by Rhett. He's 14 years old and uses his setup for graphic design and video editing. The first thing I noticed with this setup is definitely the open space underneath, as well as the nice cable management, so kudos there. You also went ham with the stickers on the computer, which leads me to ask you guys, what do you think of putting stickers on your PC? Let me know in the comment section down below. As far as usability goes, you did a great job. It is a little tricky with that left speaker kind of being blocked by the left monitor, but you tilted that monitor in order to make it more usable. So kind of a weird situation. The posters are kind of just randomly placed. I mean, they quite literally get higher and higher, and they're a little tilted, but those are little things. I would definitely over time frame ones that you like the most and kind of make it look a little more clean, but the overall room aesthetic is pretty chill, all things considered. So great job. Rhett scored a 9.9889, making his final score an 86. Next setup is submitted by Josh. He's 18 years old and uses his setup for school, coding, and media creation. I don't know about you guys, but even though the setup is great, the first thing I do notice is the closet. If you could get a curtain or a door or anything like that, I think it would make the setup kind of look a little nicer, at least the first impressions. As you start going through it, you realize like, yeah, this is definitely a badass setup. But then I go back to that first picture and I'm like, yeah, but his closet, it's like wide open. And I know I'm nitpicking, but that's literally the point of the show. Unlike the last setup, the speakers are just perfectly out in the open. The laptop is docked up real nicely. The cables are really nicely hidden. And even the ones that are seen on the actual desk are, tacked down, which is really a nice little touch. Theming is a little tricky here. For someone like me, I'm not a huge fan. Although if these are your photographs, then that's obviously an awesome personal touch. However, it is more than anything extremely minimalistic, but judging by the rest of your setup, I would assume that's what you're going for. Josh scored a 10.9898, making his final score an 88. Next setup is submitted by Jordan. He's 26 years old and uses his setup mainly for work, but also loves to play games like Warzone. Personally, I love this setup. I think the album covers are a great idea. If you're struggling to figure out what to put on your wall, this is great because not only does it make it more visually appealing, but it adds personality. So great job there. I do wish the theme kind of continued to the other wall. Maybe not with album covers, but just some prints or something would look really nice on that left wall. As far as usability, I want to say it's perfect, but there are a few issues. One, of course, the microphone. I know that's not something that's always going to be in front of your monitor, but I do think you could have put it off to the right-hand side and have it float where there's no monitor. That way it would make a little more sense. I know you're trying to get it as close to your mouth as possible, but covering a good portion of your display is probably not ideal. With that said, having that L desk right there up against your left side is also not ideal. You really could have just had that one side up against that wall, had the PC go underneath, and you could have made it work, but I understand the need for more space. You have really cool accessories. It is definitely clean. I like the contrast. Visually, it's very nice, and I don't want to take away from that, but there are a few simple changes you can make to kind of take this to a whole nother level. Jordan scored a 9.9899, making his final score an 88. Next setup is submitted by Grail. I love the vibe in this room, and I think accessory-wise, this is probably one of the coolest setups we've seen. You're definitely utilizing all that space on your desk, and the equipment looks pretty badass. As far as the monitor arrangement, I can see this being awesome and also a little bit tricky, but given the accessories, what you're trying to accomplish with all that stuff on your desk, this is probably the best way you could have gotten it done. Unless you were to have another ultra wide stacked on top. So let me know what you guys think in the comments about that monitor arrangement. The PC looks awesome. I like that it's off to the side. You have your drums over there. I like the subwoofer underneath. I love really just the whole flow here. It just looks really, really nice. The night shot that he posted is super cool. I mean, just the colors, of course, are awesome, but the spacing between the speakers and the monitor, I mean, there's more than enough space here. It's just a really cool setup. And final thing, the little hexagon things, I actually just got those, and I'm definitely going to do a video on them because they look like they get super bright and they're an easy accessory to add to any setup to kind of give it some life. Grail scored a 10, 10, 9, 9, 8, making his final score a 92. This final setup of the day is submitted by Sandro. He's 17 years old and uses his setup for gaming and school. This final one is very tricky in my opinion because it's just in a weird spot. If you look from the one angle, you could see kind of like French doors almost. I don't know what kind of room this is. I don't know if it's his bedroom or some sort of like study den room or I honestly don't know. The reason I bring that up is because it's difficult. He's got a closet really right across from his desk and then some weird thing going on with his wall there that confuses me because I don't know why you wouldn't just have the desk against the wall with the soundproofing unless this was like a built-in. I don't know. It's a very confusing setup, but aside from all of that, it's not bad. It's always difficult when you're going for one monitor, no speakers, limited accessories, and the fake IKEA plant. There's only so much you can really do, but all things considered, you did a good job. I mean, underneath, you got the Signum, cable management's nice, all goes into the computer very cleanly. But the tabletop itself, it's just random. The lamp's there, the fake plant, the switch is just laying there. It's just very basic. It's early stages of the setup, so there's not much for me to really talk about. Over time, you'll be adding and upgrading, and it'll really evolve this setup quite a bit. Also, theming is difficult here because one, you don't have the space for it, and two, depending on the room, maybe you're not able to. So I don't really want to say too much about this because I know a lot of it's kind of out of your hands, but for what it is, you did a great job. So nice. Sandro scored a 9, 9, 8, 7, 7, making his final score an 80. Taking a look at the scoreboard, today's winner is Grail with a score of 92, and in last place is Sandro with still a great score, an 80. That's it for this episode of Pimp My Setup. Be sure to give this video a like as it really does help. And if you want your setup to be featured, then head on over to pimpmysetup.com. With that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week for another episode.